All right, so I am out in St. Petersburg, pretty much right in the center, and I wanted to make this video more of like a walking style where I just talk about like what I've noticed I could call it Europe, but like international culture versus America, but I'm more specifically going to call it the Russian culture because I'm living it, I'm seeing it, I've experienced it enough to really weigh in on the differences between all of the different lifestyles. So one of the really interesting things that I've noticed, one of the biggest issues in America at least, is the medical cost and just the cost to get like care at the doctor, the dentist, eye exams, all that. So one thing that I immediately did when I came here with my wife, we're on a couple week, I guess you'd call it vacation, but she has family here, so we wanted to visit. For her, she hasn't been in about a year, but for me, I haven't been in Russia in 5 years. And one of the biggest issues that I've experienced since becoming a full-fledged, full-time working adult in America is it's too damn expensive to get medical care. For example, like basic checkups are like $150, maybe more. I mean, it depends on what kind of service you get, but we went to get a standard hormone test and an EKG, which is like a heart examination to tell you if everything is good or what could be improved on with your internals. And turns out that when the bill came in America, I think we did the estimate, it was like at a minimum $500 to upwards of like, I don't know, it could be upwards of like $1,500 to $5,000, depending on how severe or how intense you want the exams to be. You know, we got a lot. So I got the hormone tests included, like testosterone, magnesium, calcium, cholesterol, your basic hormones that you'll do or you'll need to get checked in on in a medical facility. I have a whole list that I took a picture of. I'll try to include it on this video. You have to forgive the weird translation, but at the bottom you see 41.53. Add on another 5,500 rubles, which is about $5.50. These are all the different tests that they did. You can see cholesterol, magnesium, zinc, calcium, testosterone, glucose, creatine, you name it, right? It's all there. Even some words I would never be able to pronounce, they did tests on, and the total price came out to less than $50 for all of it. But all of that was maybe $40 in Russia, and then EKG was like $5. So I paid less than $50 for like all of the examinations. So I was pretty blown away by that. But and then another thing that's really nice about this country, specifically Russia. I've been to other international countries too, but a thing that I really like is it's very transportation friendly. Like the roads are big enough, or the sidewalks are big enough that you could walk pretty comfortably on the side without having any issues. And there's lots of pedestrian friendly areas that you can be in. I mean, most, if not the entire city, is very convenient to be walking as a pedestrian, whereas most of the areas that I live in the States, or that I've lived in, damn near impossible to walk around. I mean, you might be okay if you get a bike, but you almost need a car to travel around in the States. So not the most fun thing, but the city's infrastructures here are awesome. Like you have the ability to go from point A to point B almost anywhere by foot, if you want to, but you could definitely take a taxi, and the taxis are minimal. So we went to see a part of St. Petersburg. It's like 45 minutes outside the area that we're staying in. It was like $45. Oh, sorry, 45 minutes. 45 minutes outside of town. So call it hour and a half all in. We paid like $20. Really less than that. Like less than $20 to visit one of the most popular attractions of this city. No question in America. It's like I think that last time we took an Uber in America it was like $1 per mile, or I just do $1 per minute. So, if you go 60 minutes of travel, it's at least $60. But if I'm not mistaken, they tag on an initial fee. So at a minimum, you're paying like $7. I forget. But not all parts of Russia are very pretty. Like not every city and state in the world or the United States. No country is beautiful from top down. Like there's definitely parts that may not look the best. But what I've noticed is that they don't really put a lot of priority on the exteriors as much as they do on the interiors. Like at least the houses are built well. Like the apartments are built well. They're built strong. You've got these like brick buildings that they've been around for hundreds of years. Like most of these buildings that you've seen me walk by already are or have been around for at least a couple centuries at this point. Like that's I believe I'm like dead center or very close to the dead center of the city, and a lot of the buildings are built very well. So on top of just like the transportation part of it, medical cost, I think just the cultural values are a big part of what makes this country so interesting, because I've sort of been an introverted person for a while where I don't really have like basic conversations with people. I don't walk up and start, chatting with the locals, but you don't really have to be forced to do that here. Like everyone kind of keeps to themselves. They do their thing, and then, if you end up becoming friends with them later, you do. But it's not a big issue. It's not like this insincere life where you walk up to someone that you kind of know or you see on the street and you come up with this like disingenuous smile. I have so many encounters in the States where I'll walk up to someone that I may not know completely, or maybe it's like being kind to just say hi or smile to them, and that's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But what I don't like is the insincerity behind the greetings. Like you say hi to people and there's no intention to hang out, there's no intention to be friends, but they act like they're your best friend, and make it seem a lot more beyond what it really is, which is just like a simple acquaintance. Whereas here, like they don't even bother with the initial greetings unless you're in like a tight-knit circle, or you meet them in some way. Like maybe you're at the bookstore and you ask them for a recommendation, you get chatting, and then sure enough, like they invite you over for tea. At that point, your family, like my wife's family, has some of the biggest hearts I've ever seen, and they're so welcoming, they're so happy to see me, and it's just a different life. Like it's a different way of living that I wish people were able to open up their perspectives a little bit more to see, because if you're able to get out of your bubble, whether that's in America or other cultures, and even just come to Russia for a little bit, if you have a friend that you can go with, that'd be great. I'm not pressuring anyone to say like, hey, you got to go out and visit, but the Europeans and Russians are very genuine, I feel, with their friendships, and I have multiple people that I can go have a beer with on very short notice. 30 minutes prior to me wanting to go to the bar, I can say, hey, do you want to go hang out at the bar? Do you want to go walk around outside for a little bit? And without question, obviously if they're free, they'll say yeah. But I feel like in America, you have to plan this like the super long process of, hey, let's schedule next Wednesday at 5:30. We're gonna hang out, and then 30 minutes before they cancel the plans, and it's just like, don't tell me that you're gonna, move forward, like you want to hang out if you don't actually want to. Anyway, another topic for another day. But as you can see, the Cathedral of St. Isaac's, I've never really been good at that. The Cathedral at St. Isaac's is the 4th largest cathedral in the world. This thing is a behemoth of a structure. I don't know how tall it is, but it's very beautiful. Anyway, just little side note. This picture definitely doesn't do it justice, but this is the inside of the cathedral in the center. There's other quadrants, but this thing is massive, and it's purely breathtaking. You can only say that so many times when you're in this St. Petersburg, but definitely true. There's a lot to see, a lot of really beautiful cathedrals, and this is one of many that you can see while you're in the city. If you're in St. Petersburg, you're never going to run out of really beautiful structures to go see with your own eyes. And then apart from like the actual architecture and everything of not just St. Petersburg, but like Russia, apart from all that, the obvious one, if you're coming from America at least, and most European countries, mainly just traveling internationally, especially if you're an American and you come into a European country, with the exception of maybe like Italy, Spain, Germany, and like England, those types of countries, you're typically going to have your currency convert much farther. South America, for example, it's a common one that people go to. Russia's no different. Like, we went into the cathedral for a while. I think it was like $6 for entry, and then we went to the Hermitage, which is like this beautiful museum that was partially destroyed during the World Wars, and it was, I think it was like $10. I think it was $10 all in, something like this. And then we went to the Catherine the Great's castle. I'm not a history guy. So the formal name for it is Catherine's Palace, and I want to reiterate the point for the 4th time that it is an extremely beautiful palace, and the infrastructure and the architecture feels like you're in a Hollywood movie. It really doesn't feel real. Just a beautiful piece of art. This is the gold room, where the entire room, top to bottom, is gold plated. All the way around, it is a beautiful piece of art. So another thing on your bucket list to check out when you're here. As you can tell, but it was $18 all in, and there's beautiful parks that you can walk in at. Just a great place to do stuff. The currency travels much farther here. For example, we just got done eating at a very nice, like, European restaurant right in the center of the city. No question, in America, that's like $20 or $15 for an entree on the low side. So all in, you're spending $50-$60, without even a second thought. Here, we spent $25, tip included, for 2 noodle entrees, a soup, sushi, a plate of eight rolls of sushi, and then some tea, some like flavored tea. Each item was like $6 on the high end, $5 to $4 on the lower side. This is the full receipt. For reference, 100 rubles is $1. And that's like the most I've ever seen on a bill since I've been here. We don't run up a bill when we go out to eat. We usually just cook at the house, but you buy like 2 full bags of groceries here, and you're spending like $10. It's just crazy. Like, I'm not trying to sound stuck up, but I'm trying to genuinely imagine how the hell I could spend like $2,000 in a month here, unless I'm living like a king in a freaking high-rise apartment. You know, if you live well within your means and you have a modest way of living, I have no reason to believe that you couldn't get by with like $1,500. That's a great life in most international cultures. And I'm not saying that you need to like run away from your problems. Obviously not everyone has the economic situation to just be able to up and go, but I have a wife and daughter, and fortunately she speaks the language of this country. But no question, if we needed to, and we were in like, you know, DEFCON 5 critical red situation where we needed to get out of America, I would go to like South America, you know, and it's even cheaper there. So it's just, I think it's really funny because people think that their situation is permanent and they're unable to get out of whatever situation they got themselves in. That's definitely not the case, because with medical costs continuing to go up, you know, schools being so expensive, you know, daycare, all these things that you spend so much money on every month in America, a lot of that is either heavily reduced or completely like zero, you know. So like medical, going back to that, I've got a dentist appointment later this week to do a full like redo of all my crowns, teeth cleaning, you know, basically whitening all of my teeth. I think it's $150 on a very conservative estimate here, and like a private dentist to do all of that, it's, you know, it's going to be very, very affordable. Whereas I believe the last time I did something somewhat similar, it was at least $300 to $500 with insurance in America. And I'm not trying to make this like a rag on the States all the time, but I'm just calling it as I see it. So that guy just tried to get me on a, I don't know, not really a scam, but just tried to get me to take some photos, and then I would, you know, do a donation or something. And I just said I didn't ask for photos, and he wasn't super cool, but he was all right. Anyway, I mean, the bulk of it is like, I think that the lifestyle here is just completely different, and I could be rubbing a lot of people the wrong way, and that's perfectly fine, because I don't want to live a life where I'm not authentic to what I believe in. And what I believe is that there's a lot of cultures outside the States that I feel have a lot more of an understanding of what makes a good life for them and what they like out of it. And it's just too damn expensive to live in the States right now. And I don't think there's many people that would disagree with me. I mean, yeah, you might have to give up some conveniences, but there's delivery services here, there's Ubers, there's taxis, there's hotels. I mean, you name it. Like, again, cost effectiveness. We're living in this hotel right now, or staying in a hotel that's in the nicest part of town, center of the city. It's like $45 a night with breakfast in the morning included. I mean, dude, you can't get much better than that. So that's kind of the bulk of what I wanted to cover today. I mean, of course, there's a lot of other tiny topics that I could cover, but I'm living, breathing, and experiencing this life in Russia right now, and I mean, they're thriving, right? Like the McDonald's that got taken over by sanctions, they turned it into their own brand called Vkusny Tochka. This is our receipt from Vkusny Tochka, which is the formerly known McDonald's, and I got a Big Mac, or their version of one, with also a Caesar wrap, which is like a chicken wrap in a tortilla. My wife got a mushroom sauce burger, and then we got 2 orders of mozzarella sticks, or their version of one. All in all, came out to $11.03. So their currency is currently roughly 100 rubles per $1. So you just take off 2 zeros, move the decimal over 2 points, and you're good. So every single line item is $4 or less, which is just crazy. So just wanted to show you guys what that looks like as well. It's like a high-end restaurant in there. It's affordable. I mean, it's quality is good. Like they've got it, man. They're producing everything themselves, and they're keeping majority of their profits now because they don't have a lot of brands that are, you know, I guess controlling what they can and can't do. It's more of like internally sourced products, and all the companies that left, like McDonald's, they left all the recipes, they left all their systems and processes. So there's no reason for McDonald's to even go back. Russia doesn't need them anymore. So I think the Russians are very resourceful. They know how to do what they need to do. They've been through hardships before, and they can manage perfectly fine. I mean, this is just my opinion. Of course, everyone is entitled to their own. My thought is that, you know, until the American can sort of chill with inflation and just the rising costs that are, you know, of course they're happening everywhere, but I feel like there's other countries where if you take your exact same dollar and go somewhere else, it'll be multiplied by 2 to 3x in terms of what you can do with it. And as long as you're responsible with your money, that's how you can really change the course of time for you, you know, and what you can accomplish in this life. And if your goal is to live a comfortable lifestyle in a place that allows you to be who you want to be and be happy and comfortable and all those things that everyone wants, I'm not saying you can't get that in America. I'm just saying it'd be a hell of a lot easier in a place where the financial struggle is not nearly as high as it in the States, you know. So anyway, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. I hope you got some value out of this. I try to make it succinct, but also just share my raw thoughts as I go. And the whole point of this channel is to document my process to financial freedom and just share tips, advice, things that I've learned along the way. So if you did find any value in this at all, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, you know, engage with it, all that fun stuff. But I appreciate you. Peace. So one other thing I forgot to mention is most countries outside the US are going to have some kind of regulation put in place to restrict the number of chemicals that are put in the food. You know, whether that makes it in America at least cheaper to manufacture or, you know, make at mass production, whatever that looks like. It's a little different in most countries because they're not so, I mean, everything is either completely natural, like naturally sourced, or made with way less like chemicals or restrictions. So the food that you get at the store that, you know, we would consider organic or like ultra high premium quality that you would get at like Whole Foods or whatever is just the regular food that you would find at the stores here in, you know, whether you're in Europe or Russia. And I thought that was interesting because, you know, you eat food in America, you don't really think of anything of it because you eat it all the time. But like an apple, for example, you have a regular apple at like Walmart, and then you go to the organic section, you get one there. They might taste a little different, maybe a little bit more flavor. You have one in most international countries, and you're like, the hell was I missing? This is so much different. So it's kind of what I'm getting at is you're going to have a little bit of a culture shock on that end, but also because of the fact that the quality of the food is a lot better, people aren't as fat. And you'll notice that, you know, if I get to turn this camera around and just film, I'd say 95% of the people here are going to be in good shape, or at least decent enough shape to where they're not obese or considered over the standard weight limit of what American society would be. So that was a really interesting shock, and apologies if it's loud. I'm on like one of the busiest streets in St. Petersburg. It's right next to the Hermitage, which I actually might have time to go turn around and show. But it's just a different lifestyle. Like, people are healthier, the food quality is much better, and you can go to the farmer's market almost every single day, and you can find people selling this, you know, the food that they picked from their garden that day, and you can buy it right out of the store, and it's even more affordable than what you could get at a, you know, grocery store. Because I feel like in America, if it's picked from their garden, they're going to charge a premium for it. It makes sense, but I don't know. It's just like a epiphany almost, where you come here and life is different. To add to that, because the people here are much healthier on average, that they look better. Like, they don't have skin issues or diseases. They're not in wheelchairs all the time. Like, of course there's unhealthy people because they don't really have any, like, not everyone's perfect, of course. Might even be, some genetic defects, but a lot of the people are on top of their health, and it's just a nice thing to see because it's uncommon here to have a lot of people that are just fat or unhealthy. I mean, again, going off on tangents, call it what you will, but maybe I was just buying time to get to this Hermitage. But this thing, man, we went here earlier. This is the freaking biggest museum I've ever been to. It is massive. Like, we walked for 2 hours in this damn place, and we put in 2 miles. I put in just about 9,000 steps while we were there. My feet are killing me, but since we've been in Russia, I'm averaging low 15,000 steps on a bad day, but I'm hitting like anything between 15 and 20,000 steps a day right now. And I guarantee you I'm losing weight since being here. Yes, on one end it's like you're walking a lot more, but you're also eating good food. Like, you could splurge on a handful of items food-wise, and you'll still leave a trip here with you'll definitely lose weight by the end of the trip. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. Now, that's the end of the video.